The mind conjures an image of a desert, an endless ocean of burning gold, seared by a relentless sun. But this is a race of memory, for the largest desert on this planet is a stark, white paradox. It is a colossal monster, larger than the continent of Europe, nearly twice the size of Australia. Yet its most terrifying feature is not its scale, but its solitude. In this immense expanse, humanity is a transient specter. No one is born here. No one has ever truly settled here. It is a forbidden land that has never allowed us to call it home. Here, nature deals in absolutes. This is a kingdom of frozen extremes, where temperatures have plunged to -128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, a cold so profound it can freeze the very air we breathe. In this paralyzing chill, rain is a physical impossibility. It falls instead as diamond dust, tiny, glittering ice crystals, suspended in a sky that holds less humidity than the sands of Arabia. And beneath it all lies the planet's greatest contradiction. 70% of the world's fresh water is here, locked away in a frozen vault. To stand on this ice is to stand upon Earth's largest reservoir, while looking out across its largest desert. It is a place where abundance disguises itself as absence. This landscape is guarded by a silence that feels heavy, physical. Without the rustle of leaves or the hum of life, the stillness is primordial, absolute. Perhaps because of this profound hostility, Antarctica remains the only land on Earth that belongs to no one. On a planet carved up by borders and claimed by armies, this continent stands apart. There are no cities, no native histories, no flags of conquest. By international treaty, it is reserved solely for peace and discovery. We do not rule this white wilderness. We are merely permitted to visit, as humble guests in a world that demands we leave it without a trace. But to arrive, one must first be tested. Every expedition must cross the Drake Passage, a violent stretch of ocean standing between the known world and the polar south. There is no way around it. The journey begins here, long before ice appears on the horizon. Wind and waves, unchecked by any landmass, move with primeval force. Ships push forward, groaning against the strain. Decks are awash in freezing spray. Equipment must be constantly secured against the sea's relentless assault. To walk is to fight for balance. To rest is to find none. Even the most experienced crews feel the strain as the crossing continues, hour after agonizing hour. This passage can last for days. There are no stops, no alternatives. Communication is a fragile thread to a distant world, and assistance is impossibly far away. It is a crucible that strips away all illusion of control, a necessary trial before one can set foot upon the silent continent. It is the price of admission to a world that was never meant for us. With every passing hour, the notion of turning back dissolves into impossibility. The journey south is not a spectacle of drama, but a quiet, relentless trial of body and of will. To cross the Drake Passage is not to arrive, but to be remade. It is the precise moment when the abstraction of planning solidifies into the hard reality of endurance. Only after this formidable barrier is overcome can a vessel venture farther south, into the colder waters, into a deeper and more profound isolation. For any who seek the Antarctic continent, the Drake is the toll that must be paid. And then, land, South Georgia Island. After the ordeal of the open ocean, it feels less discovered than dreamt. It rises abruptly from the sea, a dark and rugged exhalation from the depths. The beaches are black with volcanic sand, yet their color is utterly consumed by life. Hundreds of thousands of king penguins crowd the shoreline. They stand shoulder to shoulder in a chaotic mosaic that, on closer inspection, reveals an ancient, living order. Their bodies form shifting fields of gold and pale orange, a vibrant protest against the muted tones of rock, ice, and cloud. Their calls echo through the glacial valleys, a symphony carried on the cold air, filling a space that moments before felt defined only by its emptiness. This staggering abundance has earned South Georgia its name, the Serengeti of the Southern Ocean. Yet this spectacle is not a gentle one. Life gathers here with such intensity for one reason: survival elsewhere is impossible. Every movement is freighted with purpose. Every return from the sea is a victory hard won. Amid this relentless rhythm of feeding and breeding, It is easy to forget that humans too once arrived here, driven by desperation rather than curiosity. That memory survives in the saga of Ernest Shackleton. After his ship, the Endurance, was crushed by pack ice, South Georgia became more than a destination. It became hope itself. Shackleton and his men crossed mountains that had never been mapped, driven not by the hubris of conquest, but by the simple, obstinate refusal to die. Standing on these shores, surrounded by a living mass that has adapted perfectly to this extreme, the contrast is absolute. Nature thrives without hesitation. Human survival here has always depended on endurance, humility, and no small measure of luck. But beneath this order, something far more primal holds sway. On the beaches of the elephant seals, abundance gives way to raw power tons, dragging themselves from the sea with an effort that reshapes the shoreline. Their size is overwhelming, but size alone is not enough. What follows is a ritualized violence, repeated season after season, without mercy or negotiation. When rivals meet, the air fills with deep, resonant roars. Chests collide, and bodies slam together with a force that shakes the very ground. Blood is not unusual here. Injury is expected. Retreat is rare. These battles are not about territory in the human sense. They are contests for the future itself, a violent, absolute claim on the right to exist in the generations to come. Here, conflict is not about territory. It is about lineage, about the fragile, brutal right to pass on existence itself. At the heart of every confrontation lies the harem, a tightly guarded circle of females, representing both the ultimate prize and an immense burden. For the victor, there is no celebration, only endurance. For weeks on end, he will barely eat, barely sleep. Compelled by an ancient instinct, he must defend his place against any challenger bold enough to test his resolve. This frozen beach becomes an arena where dominance is fleeting, and survival is measured not in triumph, but in sheer stamina. To witness it is unsettling, yet it is impossible to look away. This is not cruelty, it is biology, stripped bare of all restraint. These shores reveal a fundamental truth of the continent. Antarctica does not yield. Life persists here, not through harmony, but through relentless, punishing adaptation. It is a world where existence is earned, and nature offers no consolation for the vanquished. It rises from the Southern Ocean as a low mass of dark, unassuming rock. At first glance, it appears harmless. Nothing in its quiet outline suggests the danger held within, and this is where its deception begins. The island earns its name not with a sudden shock, but with a slow, unsettling reveal. From afar, it is just another sub-Antarctic landmass, sculpted by wind and sea. But as a vessel draws near, the illusion unravels. A narrow passage materializes in the rock face. To pass thence, ocean suddenly falls calm. Without ever climbing ashore, the ship has entered the island's interior. This is no bay, it is a caldera, the flooded, collapsed heart of a volcano. This is Deception Island, one of the few active volcanoes in all of Antarctica, a place shaped equally by the fire below and the ice-cold ocean above. There is no towering cone, no crater at its summit. Instead, the very center of the volcano is breached and submerged, allowing passage directly into the core of a sleeping giant. It is a phenomenon found nowhere else on Earth. Steam vents from the black sand beaches, a constant reminder of the geothermal heat escaping from below. But along this shoreline, another, colder history surfaces. Rusted oil tanks, collapsing structures, and the scattered debris of a whaling station, abandoned decades ago. These ruins speak of an era when humanity came not to observe, but to extract. Countless thousands of whales were dragged onto these shores, their immense bodies rendered into oil, their absence from the seas a question few thought to ask. The iron corrodes in geological time, but the memory of the slaughter endures. Deception Island is a monument to a different Antarctica, not a sanctuary for science, but a resource to be plundered, a remote frontier where the consequences of our actions felt a world away. In this land of extremes, both nature and humanity have revealed their most unforgiving truths. The scars remain, etched into the ice and the rock, a permanent record of the struggle for survival in a world that offers no quarter. To reach the continent's deeper bays, a vessel must first pass through one of the most spectacular corridors on Earth, the Lemaire Channel. Nicknamed the Kodak Gap by early photographers, its beauty is deceptive. Steep cliffs hem the ship in on both sides, rising nearly 3,000 feet straight from the sea. The channel is a thread, barely wide enough for a single vessel, forcing captains to navigate with extreme caution through a shifting maze of ice. As the ship glides deeper, the wind often dies, blocked by the sheer walls of rock and snow. The water becomes a dark mirror, reflecting the jagged peaks with such perfection, it becomes difficult to tell where the glacier ends and the ocean befilance. Here, one does not simply look at the landscape, one is swallowed by it. Beyond this passage, Paradise Bay reveals itself, not through spectacle, but through restraint. The water here often lies flat and undisturbed, a liquid lens reflecting ice, mountain, and sky with unnerving precision. The scale is vast, yet contained. Icebergs drift slowly, as if aware that any sudden movement would violate the profound stillness. Sound itself seems to diminish, the silence broken only by the distant crack of a calving glacier, or the soft sigh of water against the hull. It is a quiet that calms the mind without overwhelming it. This tranquility has made Paradise Bay more than just beautiful. It has made it a place of presence. For decades, research stations have operated along these sheltered waters, drawn by conditions that allow for sustained observation, not just survival. Scientists come to study the glaciers, the marine life, the subtle shifts in weather, the slow changes that rarely announce themselves elsewhere. Their buildings are modest, temporary by design, standing as quiet witnesses to a landscape that does not acknowledge them. The bay exists in a delicate balance, calm enough to host human study, yet untouched enough to remain indifferent to it. But the world seen from the surface is only half the story. Beneath the cold skin of the ocean, stillness gives way to constant motion. Life follows rules shaped not by abundance, but by precision. Down here, in the deep, frigid currents, leopard seals patrol the waters with a quiet, lethal confidence. They are a reminder that this serene paradise is also a kingdom of predators, a world of raw, untamed life, moving silently beneath the perfect reflection of the sky. In the deep blue, a silent ballet unfolds. Their bodies move with an effortless, almost liquid grace, eyes alert, jaws capable of sudden, decisive violence. They are not reckless hunters. They wait, they observe, and they strike only when the moment is exact. In their presence, survival is a matter of awareness, not speed. Here, danger is a controlled force, not a chaotic one. Sharing these waters are creatures of immense scale, humpback whales, moving with a calm that feels deliberate, ancient. Their size dominates the visual field, yet their behavior is one of profound peace. They travel in slow, majestic processions, filtering krill from the water in vast, life-sustaining mouthfuls. A leviathan, fueled by the infinitesimal, giants sustained by a cloud of the small. When they breach the surface, the ocean itself seems to respond gently, adjusting around their mass rather than resisting it. There is no confrontation, only a rhythm. This coexistence reveals a food chain in its most perfect form, a system that functions only because each element remains in a delicate, unwritten balance. Predator and prey, the massive and the minute, motion and stillness, all connected by the cold water that carries energy from the ice to the open sea. But this rhythm can be broken, for the wolves of the sea are hunting. They are orcas, often called killer whales. They are not whales at all, but the largest members of the dolphin family. Here, in the Antarctic, they operate with a chilling intelligence. They do not hunt as individuals, they hunt as a tactical unit. On the floating ice, one of nature's most extraordinary displays of cooperation and physics is about to begin. A seal, seeking refuge on a drifting floe, believes it is safe from the depths below. It is a fatal miscalculation. The orcas align themselves, side by side, swimming in perfect, powerful synchronization toward the ice. At the last possible moment, they dive. Their combined movement creates a single, precise wave that washes over the surface, cracking the platform, or simply sweeping the seal into the waiting water. It is a calculated act of fluid dynamics, a lesson passed down through generations. To witness a pod of orcas patrolling these glossy waters is to witness the very apex of marine evolution. Their dorsal finnine wilderness, breathtaking beauty, and brutal efficiency are never far apart. Yet, not all of life's dramas are writ on such a colossal scale. On the gray, rock-strewn ground, the smallest struggles unfold. Adelie and Gentoo penguins spend their days bent low, carefully selecting pebbles, one by one. They are building nests with a focus that borders on obsession. Here, stones are not incidental. They are currency. They are protection against the melting snow. They are, quite literally, the foundation of a future. From the ice that feeds the ocean to the ocean that returns life upward. From the hunt that sustains the pod to the single stone that protects the egg. Antarctica reveals itself not as a frozen, empty void, but as a single, living system. It is a world where every action, no matter how vast or how small, is woven into the same intricate, indifferent, and magnificent design. In the grand theater of Antarctica, the most vital currency is stone. A well-chosen pebble can anchor a nest against the wind. A missing one can unravel a bond. And where there is currency, there are thieves. They emerge from the colony, stealing stones in the open, often in full view of their neighbors. Their movements are quick, a darting, guilty motion that betrays no actual shame. Arguments erupt, pursuits break out across the ice. The stakes are at once impossibly small and profoundly serious. A single stone functioning as a gift, a promise, a foundation for new life. Amid the continent's immense severity, these small, persistent birds orchestrate a lighter rhythm, turning bare ground into a landscape of ordered life. But beyond the colony, the land itself defies order. The Ross Ice is a vertical boundary, a continuous, monolithic wall of ice rising from the water with no visible end. Its surface is a pale, indifferent expanse, its sheer scale resisting all comprehension. This is not a glacier clinging to a coastline. It is a floating mass so vast it reshapes the ocean beneath it, drifting in silent, imperceptible motion, governed by forces far beyond human influence. Before it, all familiar reference points fail. The height alone is disorienting, a frozen horizon turned upright. The eye searches for detail, for variation, but finds only a stark repetition where ice meets sky. From deep within its structure, a crack sometimes echoes, a low sound that carries weight rather than volume, a reminder that this edifice is alive, under constant, unimaginable tension. It has no interest in human presence. It cannot be approached, altered, or influenced. Here, humanity is reduced to a single act: observation. Against this white emptiness, a human shape appears: Port Lockroy, a small cluster of black and red buildings, anchored to the bare rock of Goudier Island. The paint is weathered, yet deliberate, designed not for beauty, but for visibility in a world that erases all else. It was built during the Second World War, a fragile assertion of presence in the vastness. Today, it stands as a living museum, its wooden walkways and storage sheds exposed to the unending wind and salt air, holding the faint outline of another era. It is a testament to the human need to leave a mark, to build a world within a world. And yet, the ice does not respond. The penguins continue their timeless dramas. In this place, we are reminded that some landscapes are not a stage for our stories, but the silent audience to our fleeting, improbable existence. A human story, quietly aging in place. Here, at Port Lockroy, the world's southernmost post office, sacks of postcards arrive and depart with each short season. They are small messages, stamped and sent northward, traveling slowly across oceans and continents, a fragile link to a world far beyond the ice. It is one of the few places in Antarctica where that world feels briefly within reach. Yet here, humans are the visitors. Gentoo penguins surround the old buildings, nesting along the paths, gathering at the doorways. They move freely, indifferent to human schedules or their significance. At Port Lockroy, a fragile history and a resilient wildlife coexist without hierarchy. Each simply occupies the same narrow strip of ground at the edge of the frozen world. Elsewhere, a different kind of human presence takes hold. McMurdo Station was never meant to be a place to live. It exists for a single, overriding purpose: to support science at the absolute limit of the world. Every structure is temporary by intention, designed to function, not to endure. Nothing grows, nothing settles. When the ice shifts or the mission ends, everything can be removed without regret. This is not a town. No one comes here to stay. Presence is conditional, measured in seasons, not years. And yet, within this stark framework of utility, human life inevitably follows. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and mechanics arrive carrying more than equipment. They bring habits shaped thousands of miles away. They mark time with shared meals, with conversations and routines that mirror the lives they left behind. Inside insulated walls, music plays. Against the unrelenting cold, coffee is brewed. Holidays are acknowledged, even when the sun refuses to rise or set. These are not the gestures that build a community. They are the rituals that make isolation survivable. The station operates as a logistical heart. Supplies move through it. Data flows out from it. Every action is purposeful, every presence justified. Outside these walls, Antarctica remains unchanged, a vast and silent indifference to all human effort. Inside, order is maintained through cooperation and discipline. Looming over this fragile outpost, Mount Erebus stands anchored in ice, its dark slopes rising through winds that rarely subside. It is one of the southernmost active volcanoes on Earth, but unlike most, its activity is not explosive, it is continuous. Deep within its crater, a persistent lake of lava circulates, releasing heat and gas into air that remains below freezing for most of the year. The mountain does not erupt in violence, it breathes. Molten rock rises, collapses, and reforms in an endless cycle that has endured for decades. To reach Erebus is a journey neither simple nor assured. It is a reminder that on this continent, all human endeavor, whether preserving a memory or pursuing discovery, is a fleeting whisper against the slow, inexorable pulse of the planet itself. Here, the world is sequestered, isolated by distance, by weather, and by a terrain that defies movement at every step. Access is granted only within the briefest of windows, when the high winds relent and the unstable ice holds its breath. There are no permanent routes. No fixed paths remain reliable from one season to the next. Every approach is a negotiation with an environment that can shift without warning. Even the most experienced teams advance with deliberate slowness, knowing that retreat is often the only path to survival. And yet, at the summit, fire exists openly. In a place defined by an impossible cold, steam drifts from the crater's edge, a fleeting signature of heat escaping from the planet's core, vanishing almost instantly into the polar sky. This is Erebus, a monument of fire and ice, revealing a side of Antarctica that can neither be frozen nor silenced. But nearby, another, stranger world exists. The McMurdo Dry Valleys. Discovered in 1903 by the British explorer Robert Falcon Scott, they are now recognized as the driest place on Earth. For nearly 2 million years, no rain has fallen here. Snow rarely settles. The ice, so dominant across the rest of the continent, is almost entirely absent. These valleys exist in defiance of their surroundings, carved into the landscape and left exposed. Their emptiness is not an accident, it is an act of creation. Powerful katabatic winds descend from the polar plateau, accelerating as they funnel through the narrow passages. Reaching speeds of nearly 200 miles per hour, they are a relentless force, stripping the air of all moisture. Any snow that manages to fall is scoured from the ground, sublimated directly from solid ice into vapor. What remains is a landscape of bare earth, salt-stained soils, and ancient surfaces that have lain untouched for millennia. Scientists are drawn to this hostility, the extreme cold, the profound aridity, the very chemical makeup of the soil. It is the closest analog to the surface of Mars that exists on our own world. Here, space agencies test the instruments and theories that may one day search for life on other planets, studying how it persists in places once thought entirely uninhabitable. Within this alien expanse, covering roughly 1,800 square miles, lies a feature that appears as a wound in the ice. At the terminus of the Taylor Glacier, a waterfall of blood-red brine spills onto the frozen surface of Lake Bonny. For decades, it was mistaken for algae, the truth is far more ancient. This is Blood Falls. The color comes not from life, but from chemistry. It is iron-rich saltwater, an ancient ocean remnant trapped beneath the glacier for over 1 million years, sealed away from light and air. When this primordial liquid finally breaches the surface, its iron meets oxygen for the first time. It rusts. It is the slow, silent bleeding of a hidden world, a reminder that even in the most desolate corners of the planet, time moves, secrets are kept, and the Earth itself is alive. From the glacial white, a wound appears. Iron, hidden for millennia, meets the air and bleeds a violent rust. It is a geological time capsule, spilling forth water that last saw sunlight long before our species walked the Earth. And within this ancient brine, a secret life persists. Microbes, locked in darkness, surviving without oxygen. They breathe not air, but iron. This is Blood Falls, a testament that life will find a way, enduring in the most impossible of circumstances, waiting across eons for a single chance to emerge. Here, the surface is an illusion of simplicity, an unbroken expanse of white, stretching to a horizon that never arrives. Humanity moves slowly, on foot or on wide tires engineered to float, not sink. Every step, every rotation of a wheel, is a deliberate act of will. There are no paths, no markers to promise direction. Progress is measured not in miles, but in the currency of effort. In this vast stillness, movement itself is the only sign of life. Against the immense silence, a single figure is rendered fragile, exposed. Sound travels poorly, the crunch of snow quickly swallowed by the void. There is no scent on the wind, no texture but the binary of cold and light. No one arrives here by accident. Every journey is a calculation, planned, supplied, and bound by time. The environment offers no room for improvisation. Fatigue accumulates with punishing speed. The weather can erase intention without warning. The ice does not yield. It does not adapt. Humanity adapts to it, briefly. This interior world reveals a boundary not drawn on any map, but felt deep in the body. The farther one ventures, the clearer the message becomes. This place is not meant for us. It can be crossed, it can be studied, but it does not invite us to remain. As winter descends, the sun vanishes. The ocean freezes over, and from the union of darkness and cold, a new world is born. Where waves once moved with freedom, a continent of solid ice now stretches to the pole. This is no place of refuge. Temperatures plummet to levels the human body cannot withstand. Unbroken winds sweep the surface, carrying a scouring tide of snow. And yet, it is here that the emperors gather. They have chosen the harshest season for the most fragile of tasks, the continuation of life. With the sea locked in ice, the females lay a single, precious egg. And then, they are gone, disappearing into the polar night to hunt. What remains are the males, each one balancing an egg upon his feet, shielding it from the killing cold beneath a fold of skin. There are no nests, there is no hunt, there is only the long wait. For weeks that bleed into months, they stand together, enduring starvation, exhaustion, and storms that can strip the warmth from flesh in a single, brutal moment. From the unseen microbe to the defiant emperor, life here is not a conquest of the landscape, but a quiet, relentless negotiation with the absolute. It is a transient warmth in an endless cold, a fleeting pulse against the patient stone and ice, proving that to simply endure is in itself a victory. In the heart of the perpetual twilight, a single, unified movement begins. Thousands of bodies press together, a living edifice against the gale, rotating in a slow, constant churn. It is a social organism, breathing in the frozen air, allowing each bird a brief, vital turn in the warmth of the core, before it cycles back to the brutal cold of the perimeter. There is no command given, no signal to obey. There is only an ancient, cellular wisdom, an instinct refined by generations of profound loss and improbable survival. Many will not endure. An egg, the vessel of a future, can be lost to a sudden gust, a moment's misstep. The ice offers no mercy. It is a landscape where life is not welcomed, but merely tolerated. Here, survival depends on a sacrifice measured not in moments, but in agonizing months. The emperor penguins do not conquer the winter. They withstand it, and in doing so, they become the truest symbol of the continent itself. Antarctica, a quiet mirror held up to humanity. Within its vast, silent layers of ice lies the memory of the planet, a crystalline record of climates long past and of changes now unfolding with terrifying speed. This land belongs to no nation. No borders are scarred upon its surface. No identity is forced upon its wilderness. Antarctica exists without the noise of competition, a monument to unification. Without the need to claim territory or display power, it is governed by agreement, a shared promise, respected by all who arrive. It is a place where restraint matters more than ownership, and cooperation replaces ambition. How we treat this last sanctuary reveals more than its own future. It reflects the very character of our own.